Alrighty, Gridiron 360. We are on the mic. Dave and Bill talking free agency in the NFL. It is Thursday, the 19th of March, and we are going to wrap up our division by division, team by team discussions with the AFC West. The LA Chargers, the now Las Vegas Raiders, the Denver Broncos, and the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. We will start. The LA Chargers, we know now that they've moved on from Phillip Rivers. They currently sit with the number 6 pick in the 2020 NFL Draft. Cap space, they're at number 8 out of 32 teams with $44 million. We have positions of need based on our knowledge or our input. Wide receiver, quarterback, offensive tackle, cornerback, quarterback, and cornerback.
All right, just to update, we put this board together yesterday as far as where they are in cap space. I do want to update those as we go.
Have we moved?
They have moved. They are now at number 12 with $28 million in cap space currently, because that reflects the moves that we've already discussed just recently.
So we know that they brought in Balaga from Green Bay for the offensive tackle. They let go of Rivers to Indy. They brought in Linval Joseph, D tackle from Minnesota. They brought in Chris Harris, cornerback from Denver. They brought in Derek Watt, fullback from Pittsburgh. They're going to be bringing in Thomas Davis. Or no, we don't know. We don't know. Thomas Davis said he's going to go. Yes, yeah, he's going to go to the Washington. So here are the other guys that are on their free agency list of note. Brandon Mebane, 35-year-old defensive tackle. Travis Benjamin, 30-year-old wide receiver. Big one, which there's been no talk. They did re-sign Austin Eckler, but Melvin Gordon, 27 years old, running back. Michael Schofield, 29-year-old guard. Damian Square, defensive tackle, 31. Adrian Phillips, 28-year-old free safety. Lance Kendricks, tight end. Jeremy Davis, wide receiver. I'm looking down this list. Got another tight end, running back, Tremaine Pope. Sylvester Williams, D tackle. Cornerback, Jalen Watkins. And the list goes down with another wide receiver, another tight end, center. So what are these guys going to do? Sitting at 6 behind who? Detroit at 5 and us at...
No, Detroit, you got Detroit at
Detroit's 3. We're 4. 5
Miami
is
at 5.
Miami. That's right. So we know Miami is probably going to be looking for a quarterback. And based on, we talked about potentially smoke and mirrors saying Tyrod's their guy. And the thin free agency options at quarterback right now. I think you got Andy Dalton, which there's been zero talk about, still out there, and then obviously we said Cam. Or did they draft a quarterback? You said wide receiver on there. Obviously Travis Benjamin's a guy that's played a role for them, but he's not a starter. Yep. They still do have Keenan Allen. They tagged Hunter Henry at tight end. They still have Mike Williams. So they do have some receivers, but bringing another one in might not be bad, because whether it be Keenan Allen or Mike Williams, I mean, both those guys, I can't remember a season where they were both healthy all season long. And again, that's why a guy like Travis Benjamin did play a role in that offense.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, we had before the last 2 days signings, we had offensive tackle. They obviously went out and got Balaga. We had cornerback. They just got Chris Harris. So I think they've solved those immediate needs for right now. Not to say that they're not going to look for some youth and some depth in the draft. Here's what I think just got interesting. I've been telling you this, that the trade back for quarterbacks or trading up for quarterbacks hasn't really happened as much as we would think it has over the last 4 to 5 years. But we have to be realistic in the fact that if you think about it right now, screaming needs are in the top 6 going to the Chargers are going to be Cincinnati, which I think is a foregone conclusion with Burrow. You got Miami with, needing somebody there to take over for Fitzpatrick. And then you've got now the Chargers likely having to make a play. Now, here's where it's all going to come down.
Jacksonville a few behind at 9.
Yeah.
That's if they stay put, it wouldn't matter. But We talked about this. They have, I think, they have 2 picks in the first, I believe. And so, they might try to package something and jump up from 9.
Yeah, and here's your fear. Now, you got to remember something is even if you're looking to move, and I think the Giants would probably be the highest, most likely candidate for the reasons you mentioned before to trade with. But you got another team that could throw a total wrench in this, and that is Washington. So if Washington moves on a quarterback, and they say they like Haskins, and he hasn't really gotten a chance, but the chance that he has gotten, it's been less than pretty. So
well, and Case Keenum's gone now too.
Yeah, and so now I look at a Chargers team and I go, okay, so what does their board look like? Like, is Tua miles ahead of Herbert in their mind? Because now they got that fear with Miami. So I got to tell you, there's a couple of teams, maybe even Detroit looks to trade back. I mean, there's a lot of talk. They love Okudah, but regardless, I don't know. I think this is going to be a very, very interesting top 7 or 8. Now, here's kind of my thing, and I've told you this about the Giants. When you're picking in the top 10, you can't miss.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where a lot of teams start to outsmart themselves. The only place I'm trading up in is going to be if I'm trading back where I know I can still get my guy, meaning I'm only trading back a spot or two and I know what direction another team's going to go in. And right now I think that's a problem for a lot of teams. But you got to go best player available. And right now, unfortunately, a lot of these teams in the top 6, I just mentioned 3 of the 6 are in need of a specific position. And so that could create a lot of chaos here. And how do Chargers fans feel? This is a team that's got Joey Bosa, got Melvin Ingram on the outside, just signed Linval Joseph. So they got a front that's pretty stacked up. They got, obviously, the ultimate in utility in Derwin James coming back there. They just signed Chris Harris. So you got all these moves on defense. I like the Eckler signing. I think that was good. Their offensive line, again, they went with Bulaga.
A lot of people don't believe Eckler can handle it, though. They think that running backs can. We have it, too, as a position of need. But I think Eckler can handle it. I mean, not that they shouldn't get another guy because Gordon's probably gone, but like.
But I don't think you need to spend big money or go first round.
No. I mean, right. I think they should. Eckler. I thought Eckler proved it last year.
Remember how I feel about?
Understand.
I feel about second, third, fourth round running backs right now.
I mean, he might not be Zeke, but he can get the job done.
Right. So you've got all these weapons, and then you've got a third time retread in Tyrod Taylor. Had some good games with Baltimore. Obviously had a little bit of show. Took Buffalo to their first playoff in a long while. And now here he is with the Chargers. And remember, the Chargers have one major challenge. This is a team that shares a stadium with another team. L.A., honestly, is one of the worst markets in the sense that they're the 3rd biggest market, I believe, maybe even the 2nd. I don't know if they're ahead of Chicago or not.
But in terms of filling the seats, man, they just have problems. They always have.
They
Even
do.
When the Raiders went there, and then they went back to. I mean, like they just have problems.
Rams. The Rams left and then had to come back. So I mean, they've rotated through some teams. So I don't think if you bring that sexy guy in, and this is kind of going to get when we get into the draft debate, is is this team comfortable with let's just say right now it stays where everybody says it's going to be, which is going to be kind of your Burrow, then Tua, then Herbert. Jordan Love starting to make a move. At least it sounds like he is. We'll see. But if that's the case, are they comfortable with Herbert? Because, again, you can't miss on a quarterback or else you start trading for Nick Foles. So that's going to be a big deal. And let me say this. If they believe that a Tua has that value, they're moving. They're moving.
Yeah, the problem is with Tua, it's just not sound for me to see that guy starting next year. Now, if you're confident enough, you can bring him in and he can sit, even if it's not the whole year, but sit till November, December, then I'd feel a little better. But like the Tyrod Taylor thing, whether he stays healthy or not, if they bring in a guy like Tua and it's not working out with Tyrod, the fan base themselves in the media is going to push him to start maybe earlier than need be. And with a guy like Herbert, I just think it might not be the best ideal situation, but you could at least get him out there And this is a guy, I think Tua is extremely talented. He had injury after injury after injury problems in college. And it's not going to get any easier in the NFL. So, my concern is there was a guy, it's probably been almost 2 decades now since the boy was drafted. I think he was 1 overall. And he managed to linger around the NFL for quite some time. However, he came out of college with an injury, recovered from it, and then it was and he was injury prone in college, just like Tua. And the NFL showed him just the same, injury after injury after injury. You know who that guy is?
Lay it on me.
Sam Bradford.
Yeah.
Sam Bradford. And that's my concern. Are you putting Tua into a position where he turns out not to be able to flourish with his abilities, but rather is just spending his whole career dealing with injury, even if he recovers, physically, mentally, is it trash him and the whole 9 yards? So I don't know. That's where my take in terms of Herbert or Tua. I'm big on Herbert anyways. Everybody knows it. I like the guy. I think he's going to be he might not be, come out and be the end-all, be-all, but I could definitely see him developing much like Josh Allen has slowly started to develop in Buffalo. I like him. And
where's Tua from? Is he from Hawaii or is he from?
He's from Hawaii, but
okay.
I don't know if his family moved to
Well, I'm
LA
just thinking, you got West Coast guy, West Coast. They're both,
they're both West Coast guys.
But Hawaii's, I don't know if I'd call Hawaii. I'm just trying to think of the ties because you get that. It's kind of like the idea of Burrow going to Cincinnati.
Hometown.
He is a Ohio product, and so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And again, we didn't dive into that.
Listen, if the Chargers don't make a move before the draft, or right when it starts to jump up, I think they might have their heart set on Justin Herbert.
Yeah. Now, but here again, I throw in, this is the challenge for them. This is the scary part. If you, for some reason, see Washington go quarterback,
then you're completely
you have to trade, and so you've got to be thinking in your mind, like, if I'm that dedicated, because you're showing your cards. You're showing your cards right now by not picking anybody up. Now, that's not to say if a Cam Newton doesn't get cut, they don't bring him in.
The Giants might be able to draft Chase Young at 6 or 7.
God, that would blow my mind.
Yeah,
I don't know if
you
Detroit
think he get
would
past
let him
Detroit.
Go. I'm going to tell you this.
It depends on if both. As a New York Giants fan, here's my ideal scenario. Before the draft happens, Miami trades, or let's see, one of them makes a trade with Detroit. Miami or LA makes a trade with Detroit to move up. LA, let's say LA. That would make more sense. LA moves up from 7 to 5, or from 7 to 3 with Detroit. Right,
6 to 3.
6 to 3. Yeah, and then Miami. I don't know. Or
all right. So wait,
ideally
before you frame
Detroit making a trade.
Who does Washington go in your scenario when you're doing this trade?
I'm going with Chase Young.
Okay, all right. So we got Burrow, Chase Young off the board.
Right, and then if Detroit and one of those two teams trade, then I think that would be ideal for the Giants trade situation. Because, again, even if they traded back, 1 or 2, they could still get, like, Isaiah or Chase. Well, we said Chase is gone, but they could still get Isaiah. I don't know.
See, I
don't know. I'm trying to think of the best spot for my team, and we're supposed to be talking Chargers.
Well, this is the thing. This is what's going to be interesting about the Chargers, and this is going to be their challenge. If they are put in a trade situation, let's just say Washington does something crazy. If they are put in a trade situation, the problem they have is they don't have anywhere near the leverage Miami has. Miami's got 3 picks in the first round. I'm not saying they'd give up that last pick and trade 2 first-rounders because they'd have to get something really sweet in return because that's not equitable value. But the point is they got the moves. So, but you are going to hear the birds chirping big time when the draft goes around because everybody's going to be throwing fakes and everything to try to put people in tough situations. My thing is I look at it. If I'm the Giants, I got to be honest with you. If I was Detroit, I'd do the same thing. If I'm one of those 2 teams that's not going after a quarterback, I'm listening to everything.
Yep.
Everything.
Well, I think we are.
And not only am I listening to everything, I'm letting it leak because it's just going to drive up the price.
Sure.
So this I think could be one of those years where it gets a little crazy because, again, we've said you need to build your team in the right timing, and unfortunately, a Chargers team isn't really quite built that way. They're built to kind of win now, and they don't have the critical piece. Just like why everybody's panning the Bears, they're win now and they don't have the piece. And they're hoping and praying that either that former number 2 somehow a light turns on that has not turned on yet, or they can catch lightning in a bottle with Nick Foles in his playoffs, even though the guy is injured all the time and doesn't really have a very good track record in the regular season historically. So, that's going to be kind of the interesting thing. And it's that Miami team. Well, Washington can always screw things up because that's just what Washington does. I can see Washington taking offensive linemen. They're so dumb. But, that's kind of going to be the interesting thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, we didn't mean to deviate from the Chargers, but essentially everything we said is in relation to it.
And I still think they can get a very good receiver in the second round. I think they can get a game-changing receiver. So I think their needs, they're okay. It's just that quarterback situation. Because I think you're talking about if they move up, they're giving up that second rounder along with some other stuff.
Yeah. So, I mean, they may have to. But, look, it's definitely going to be interesting with the Chargers and with Miami. And like I had said before, even with Jacksonville, based on the moves thus far, what are they thinking? What are they thinking? To be a fly on the wall in that room right now.
Yep. I do like that they didn't panic in free agency. I feel like the Bears panicked, as an example. I'll use them. I think some teams panicked in free agency. And I think that they didn't, and it's good, but it is a gamble.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sometimes you have to take a gamble and hope it pays out.
Yep.
So, all right, well, let's wrap the Chargers up there, and we will get into the Las Vegas Raiders next. Thank you.